Hi, Frantic Skittles. Hope you're well. Don't know what sort of day you've had today, but the day that we find in Mark chapter 5 for Jesus must have been an extremely busy day. He had cast the demons out of a demon-possessed man, and it must have been quite a frantic experience. In fact, it scared the people around. So he got in the boat and went to the other side of the lake. I think he probably went for a rest. But as soon as he got there, the crowd started gathering around him. I imagine he wanted some peace, but a bit like me being a father, sometimes you don't get peace. The boys are asking to go and play football, or to go on FIFA, or to go for a bike ride, or can I make them a sandwich, or can I make them dinner, or can they have some sweets, or can they have some crisps, or all sorts of things, or where's this, or where's that, or can you help me with my homework? Must have been about a bit like that for Jesus. And as this crowd come up to him, there's a certain man in the crowd, a man called Jairus. He's the synagogue leader. Now, the synagogue leaders didn't really like Jesus because he taught with a new authority. He raised people from the dead. He did great miracles, and they didn't really like him. I think a lot of that was jealousy. Anyway, the synagogue leader thought, the one thing I really want in my life is for my daughter to be healed. So he went to Jesus and he fell at his feet and pleaded with Jesus to heal his daughter. He was so desperate. Do we come to Jesus and ask him to do amazing things? Do we have the same attitude, to bury our pride and to go before Jesus? Well, Jesus went on his way and he wanted to get on, but as he goes along, he meets this woman. Well, he doesn't really meet her. She had been bleeding for 12 years. She'd suffered for 12 years, but she believed Jesus could heal her just by touching Jesus' robes. In that society, she would have been regarded as unclean, an outcast. She'd be regarded as a real sinner because her sin brought this pain on her. Now, we know that sin doesn't necessarily lead to illness. Sometimes it does, but most of the time sin has consequences, but Jesus has paid for those consequences. Anyway, she went up to Jesus and there was crowds around him and said, and touched the hem of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding was gone. Do you believe Jesus has got this power? Well, what happened next was quite strange, because Jesus realized that power had left him. And he looks around the crowd and he looks around and he said, who touched me? Now the disciples said, you're mad, Jesus, you're mad. Look, there's loads of people touching you. You know, so many people brushing past you. But he says, no, someone touched me. He looks around and he looks around and he seems to scour around the crowd. And eventually this woman said, it was me who touched you. Why did Jesus do this? Why did he want to identify the woman? The reason being that she'd lived a life where for the past certain amount of time, for the past 12 years probably, she'd been an outcast of society, and Jesus wanted to restore her. He cares about you. He cared about this woman who no one else really cared about. She spent all her money on doctors and she was still bleeding. But when Jesus looked at her, he says these amazing words. He said, daughter. This is the only time he uses the word daughter in the Gospels. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over. What an amazing, fantastic story. What's the point of us learning about this story today? It's a great story. It tells us about Jesus' power and his authority. But whatever you've done, Jesus wants to restore you. He has time for you, no matter who you are, and he wants you to move forward in your faith and move forward in your life. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day.